Dum 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 dum. Daily game design time. Today is starting day 2 of Tabletop Wahoo Con. I was there all day yesterday, and this is down in the convention center. It's run by Van and Megan and a couple of their friends, and then a bunch of volunteers. Great people, doing a really nice event, and yeah. So I'll debrief that a little bit, and then I'll jump in on revisiting Sugar Shack just a little bit. There may be a couple other things that come to mind from playtesting Adra HQ as well. But one of the highlights for me yesterday was sitting with very nice people who, surprisingly to me, actually signed up for a playtest of, or a demo, I think I called it, or we called them creator demos of a demo of Sugar Shack. I think I can show us here. Very, very nice time with this couple. Oh, this is me on the way to on the way to the con yesterday. So I don't tell anybody, but I made a bunch of fried rice. How's that pot of fried rice? And bagged it. Like, so I had a few morning activities to manage before I could get down to the convention center. So cooked this fried rice, bagged it, loaded up a bunch of game design stuff. I zoomed up to the conference office where my library is. Most of my game library, not all of it, but most of it. And loaded up a little, one of these totes with, I don't know, 4 games. I think I just took 4 games to sell. And I'm cruising around on my moped, having a great time. And then, yeah. Then it's just con things started going on. So I sat with a couple friends. They were finishing up a game. Of course, the tricky part for these situations is that there are some scheduled things, but for the most part, most people are just playing games, just kind of like game after game, nonstop. Then they'll jump out, go for food or something like that. But timing is very tricky, as you can imagine, because you've got a game that lasts maybe 45 minutes, and you've got somebody else playing a game that lasts an hour, somebody else is playing a game that lasts an hour and 20 minutes, and so you can imagine it's pretty tricky to like sync up. I found there was an attendee playing Carcassonne. I saw that she was kind of learning it. I sat down with her. We played, finished the game. And then her friend came over, and then we thought, well, they were looking for more games to learn. It's cool. Like, it's a nice opportunity, this event, for people who are trying to get into the hobby. Unfortunately, I mean, it's still, most of it is still, I don't think they have really, like, roaming teachers this time. So it was kind of cool to just jump in and try to help out a little bit. So we talked with them for a while, and then it seemed like we were going to transition to another game, and then they had signed up for like a Warhammer thing or something like that. So then I jumped into a game with a few other friends, and it's funny because I kept feeling like I had to say, "Oh, I was going to play a game over there with those 2 ladies. They're married, by the way." I felt like I kept having to say that just for fun. Because you know what? Yeah, actually, we ended up talking about dating for a little while. Because one of them married a guy with kids. She mentioned that she was a stepmom at some point in the conversation. Then I checked on that because I, just kind of opened up that area of conversation. Maybe it's personal for some of you, and you never would have gone that direction. But For me, I don't mind, and if people are willing to open up, I think that's great. So we chatted a little bit about dating in your 30s, and now for me in my 40s, and the issue that like most people seem to be like divorced, or that they have kids, or divorced and have kids, or there's some other wild thing going on with them. And yeah, it does seem like it seems to be the case, as I'm because I went back on those dating apps, and I check every now and then. No, every now and then, maybe once a day, once every other day, and it's almost like an activity like doing Duolingo or something. And then anyway, so it was fun to connect with them. And then played something with a couple very light games, and then everybody seemed to jump into big games as I shifted over to the Games Bazaar. So I sold a couple games. Also, actually, while we were there, I mentioned to my friend Zoe, who I see occasionally at Armchair. Haven't really done anything with her, but I mean, we don't play games or anything together. But we were both selling games at the time, and she had this mahjong set for sale. And it was cool that at the end of the sale, I was cleaning up, I was transitioning to this demo time. She just gave it to me because I had described how on Mondays we have a few ladies that are coming to play, and I said I was in the market for for a set, and she was selling it for 40, and she just gave it to me. I said no, I had to give her at least $20 for it, but it's a solid set. I'm excited about that. Another crazy type of thing is our friend Josh. He's the Catan guru on Island. He is the big Dice Throne fan, and he donated all kind of stuff to my library. He's just a cool guy, and he said he's actually going to be able to come around more often. Anyway, he also gave me this Neon Rain, which is a 1 to 2 player. It's trying to feel like an arcade style game. There's like joysticks and joystick cards, button cards, and it's just a little card battler with combos and things. Sound really cool. Anyway, he just walked up and just gave it to me. What a guy. So really appreciate that. But anyway, then we ended up having this demo. Really positive. And what was interesting about it too is that I tested out an ending. I got my little laptop with a kind of marquee thing scrolling by, a little slideshow. And anyway, these two sat down, were very very patient through the rules. I think they got the flow of it fairly early, and then they seemed like they're having a nice time. Actually, the wife was just like crushing the guy in terms of money. But then he started working away at the community projects card, and then all of a sudden we got to the end of the game and none of the ending made sense. So he had invested all this money into the community projects, and he actually achieved that trophy that we don't even know. I don't even know what to call it at this point. But he completed the community projects, or he got the 3 of 5. But when it came to the end of the game, the ending I was testing was that there was the possibility of, there are 2 trophies. One is the community service trophy, which he got. The other one is the Brown Noser trophy, which is if you gain 4 mayor's favor cards. But nobody gained that many mayor's favor cards. So there was one trophy that got taken, and I didn't really know how to end the game at that point. If two of the trophies get taken, then that's it. But if only one, I didn't really have a way of dealing with that. So we got to the end, and then he just got smashed in terms of money. that's the way to compare, or that's how to check for a winner at the end, is like who, um, yeah, whoever has the most money. So that was a very unsatisfying ending, especially because there was no way to evaluate or to give value to the trophy for doing all the community service projects. What do you convert that into money? That doesn't seem quite right. So a couple other main, I think, contributing factors, and also that had their own issues. But I'd say the biggest problem is still timing. And what I'm doing, so this time for sure, I revealed one of the five. I can, maybe it's useful to show it here. So at the start of the game, at the start of the game, the only cards that are revealed are these three. 1, 2, 3, and then the middle one here, which is Town Hall. These three, they're just the cards that are available at the start of every game. They just help you get money. They help you get other stuff. There's a little long-term investment here with the warehouse. And then the Town Hall, which is where you get first player, and then you get to look at the top card of the Mayor's Favor deck, which is kind of meaningless at the start of the game. Okay, and then I randomly introduce one of the cards that are stacked here, which are the other buildings. I introduced one of them, and it happened to be the hardware store. So we got going, and everything was fine, except they didn't reveal. Oh yeah, they were interacting with this deck of cards, which is really important actually. It's like essential that that these cards come out, because you could actually ignore. I mean, it's essential for the experience of the game. The game actually doesn't require it, but it's essential to make it an interesting game for these cards to come out. That's because they're more interesting buildings. It's also where if this upgrade card, the hardware store, hadn't come out, then you would just never upgrade anything. And you would go through 3 cycles of this card with, draining of these cubes. They're not cubes in this case, they're little animals. But you could just go through the whole game and never upgrade anything, never do anything really cool, and just like gain some money, and that's it. You would never even see the Mayor's Favor cards, the Mayor cards. I still call them Mayor's Favor. I think in the rules we're starting to call them Mayor cards. So well, they were interacting with them, and the good thing is that the cards up here, you don't see them anymore in this way, but the cards up here, they oh, you know what? Maybe I'll just show. I'll go to Canva and show what I was excited about, because I did finish that rule book I started working on. I think it was on stream on Friday. The reason I thought of it is because I can actually show. Is it? Is it there? I don't think so, right? No. I know where it is. It's in the cell sheet one. So, so you don't have to interact with those town cards, but the idea is that I mean, the ones that are not revealed yet. But the main thing is how to motivate people to do it, and the way that makes sense to me, and that actually was working partially yesterday, is that let me see what's going on. It seems I forgot to turn my fan on. Yikes. Oh, that's too bad. Whoa. My computer was starting to say, no thanks. Yeah, I've got all look at all these tabs open. I thought I was okay, but not okay. Is there anything else I can close? Steam don't really need Steam right now. Yeah, that was like a mayday situation. Yikes. Um, okay, so what I don't really like is people being forced to do things in games. Of course, it happens a lot, but I don't love it. So what I was wanting to do here is in the situation at the start of the game, you have this was basically town. Actually, this was almost literally close to literally the exact same setup yesterday. And um, what I put on the back of these building cards are just rewards for interacting with them. So so if you come up here, you automatically gain one thing. In this case, you would gain an extra worker for next round, and then you roll for something else. So at least it's like you have this early interaction with these businesses that are opening back up after the winter or whatever thematically it is. But you get to you gain something for opening this building up for the game, and it should be good enough that like you should do it. If you don't do it, your opponent should definitely do it. That's the kind of thinking. So anyway, I'm still debriefing this game from yesterday. So they were slowly opening up the buildings, and I want to say they weren't all finished until the beginning of week 2, which means that this like all these cubes emptied out, they got their warehouse payouts and all that stuff, and still there was the one remaining card at the start of week 2. Eventually somebody did it, not because she knew she thought it was like useful to do necessarily, but because she was curious about what that card was. So she opened it up, and it was the grant office. So the grant office was the last card to come out. I don't think I have it here. I guess I do have it here. So the grant office was the very last card to come out, and that's an issue because it takes time. Essentially, takes time to power up the grant office, and maybe you'll remember, but the way the grant office works is that you have to spend cubes in other areas. Those cubes get dropped off over here at the grant office. Once you have a minimum number of cubes, and it's 4 cubes, it's listed right here. Once you have 4, then you can spend 3 guys to go to the grant office and pick an upgrade. These are all really powerful upgrades. And my hope is that they would matter at different times during the game. Well, so the grant office didn't come out until almost halfway through the game. And the game actually accelerates because usually later on, everybody has upgraded everything so that you're actually producing more maple syrup, which means you're draining the sugar bush, the card with the cubes on it. You're draining that faster. So they were probably about halfway through the game when the second week started, and they hadn't yet seen the grant office. So the grant office comes out. They like the next card that comes out is, well, I mean, once you reveal the community projects card and you talk through all that, then I revealed the first mayor's favor card, and the first mayor's favor card covered the grant office. So it made it so that there was no way, like just by the end of the game, I think literally 1 cube had gotten to the grant office. when the mayor is there at the grant office, then those cubes that you would need to be discarding to get that end up at the grant office, those just get sent back to the supply. So there's really the grant office was literally useless. That was a big issue because these upgrades are powerful. They sound cool, but there was never a use for this card. And then by the time you're late in the game, then taking a whole turn to do that feels not good at all. And I mean, it's 3 guys, right? It takes a lot of resources to make this happen because it requires at least 4 turns of doing stuff around town to build up, and then it takes a whole turn, unless you have extra workers, it takes a whole turn to get an upgrade. These upgrades are powerful. Please don't get me wrong there, but it's just that there was no time to make it happen. So that was one contributing factor to the experience of the game being a little bit like less than desirable. And then and the way the ending worked, like, because all of this was so late, right? So that was one big issue. The grant office was irrelevant. The other issue was that the mayor's favor cards didn't come out early enough to really like be able to invest in them. So yes, whereas somebody was able to finish the community projects card, that was useless. Like, that didn't really help at all. It didn't help that person at all. And now that I think about it, if you split up, like, it seems obvious to me that the situation would generally be somebody's working on community projects, that's where their resources are going, and somebody's going to be working on the mayor cards because that's where their resources are going. So I really think reimagining the ending is really important. Well, a few things came out of this test. Again, it was super great to get feedback from them, and I think it was just a really positive experience for all of us, partly because especially Reen was really articulate about her experience. Ronald he gave feedback too, but it was Reen that really filled in most of that space in the conversation. And anyway, so she talked through some ideas, some things that she would prefer, and some ideas for how we might alter the experience a little bit. One of the things was that maybe we just have expansion material here. And the funny thing is, Ronald is an academic, or he works in academia, and he's working on grants all the time. So for them, thematically, the grant office didn't quite click. It sort of made sense, but it wasn't perfect. But then because they're so stewed in grants, they have this view of grants where it's like super cutthroat within, but like between competing universities and stuff. He actually thought, or both of them thought, maybe this is a full expansion itself, is the grant office. And what the grant office does is, yes, it offers upgrades, but then it also like funds certain things and not other things. So maybe you can deactivate buildings or activate buildings, or I don't know what else would have to come into play. But they mentioned this grant situation being a whole expansion itself, which I thought, oh, that's cool. Like, that's true. There is something to that it's just it could open up another branch of the game. The other thing that seemed like at the end, per our conversation, the thing that seemed like it could be expansion, an expansion concept, was the community projects card. So even though I didn't like the idea of ending the game and comparing money, I didn't love it. The impression I got coming out of this playtest was that actually would have been fine, and it would have been, well, she would have smashed him, but that's if the community projects card wasn't there, he would have retained, I think, 27 money, so he would have been fine, and focusing on other stuff would have been fine. So it's possible that that the community projects and the grant office are expansions. Okay, well, that's one possible direction. Another thing, or an adjustment. Another thing I thought was really interesting is that she felt like there wasn't much to do if you just have one leftover worker. Or what if you don't want to spend two, it feels too expensive to spend two workers on something. And then it looks like the options for one worker are not that great. So then what do? You just have to send a worker to, you just send one to make a little extra syrup. That's sort of all you have left. And that might not be satisfying to some people. So what she started imagining, or at least the way I interpreted what she said, was what if buildings have like a weak and a strong effect? These are my words. So what if there was send one worker, have one effect, send two workers, have a different effect, or a stronger effect. So I like that. That I think does assume like a pretty deep redesign, and maybe it's worth it. Maybe that's right. What was very cool, even with this discussion of these different ideas, she said that she would have bought the game, and I was pretty surprised by that because the ending. Of course, we have to sort out the ending, but the ending didn't ruin her experience so much that that. Well, let me put it the other way. She enjoyed the experience enough to the point that she would support the game. She would have invested in the game, and that was really encouraging to me because I really haven't been in this world long enough to really have many of those experiences. I did do demos of New Kingdom Sowers. I did demos of that at one of the game stores, and then 2 or 3 people were like, "Yeah, we'll buy that. That was cool." It's like that feels good. It's cool to be behind an experience that people enjoy so much that they're willing to invest in it. So it was cool to get feedback from Reen that she would be interested in buying, whether or not whether things are different or not. I was shocked by that. Anyway, so there's this. So one idea is just like cut some of that stuff, make it expansion stuff. Another idea was have buildings have weak and strong effects, depending on the number of workers you send there. And I think that's cool. I think there really is something to that, and it wouldn't be that hard to do graphically, or in terms of graphic design. What would you do? Just just fade this guy a little bit, or make him a different color. Oh, that was one thing they did talk about accessibility a lot. That the colors would not work, and fair enough. I have not designed this with color blindness in mind yet. I'm really just trying to get a working game done. But yeah, like they were saying that here it was, like this opposition in on the computer, it's more clearly blue and red. On the cards, it's more green and red. But regardless, these would look the same to some people potentially. So finding a way to mark them with hashes or lines or squiggles or whatever it is, or different shapes in some way. Fair enough. Like that does need to happen. Also, why is this here? I'm pretty sure that's not supposed to be there. Okay. Well, now after all this, I woke up this morning around 7. I got back late last night. It was like 11. Is that right? No way. Oh yeah, because the event ended at 11 last night, which I was impressed by. I think the longer events, Kawaii Con, Comic Con, I think they ended around 10. So it was cool with the awareness that this is just a 2-day event. They left the game room open till 11, and I left not with the last group, but pretty close to the end. And then got home, put some stuff away, whatever. Ended up sleeping around midnight. Woke up at 7-ish, and then had this thought. And the thought is, why not just force these buildings to come out? And I think that's probably the right call. So there are 4 extra buildings that need to be revealed in town. And you know what? There's nothing stopping me from revealing a new building every round at the start of the game. And instead of, incentivizing people to go there to get good stuff so that a building is revealed, instead, the incentive system becomes, wait, if you miss this, you're going to lose all this good stuff. Like, it's great, you're going to get a building, you're going to like it, but if you don't go there yourself to reveal the building, or if you don't go visit that stack of cards and gain the benefits, you're just going to lose them. Like, nobody's going to get that stuff. And you know what? I think that solves important problems right now around of course, if they don't engage with that every round and they put it off and it feels too expensive to send 2 guys up there, whatever situation those feelings create, it avoids some awkwardness about the order, because I want that to be random too. I thought, well, random is good here for replayability. Like, as in, I shuffle those 4 cards and then you just don't know what buildings are going to come out. That seems fine. Well, you still get that. You still get that randomness. And there's no risk of, well, what if the hardware store comes out last, so we can't upgrade until way later in the game? You could upgrade by, at the latest, round 5. And I think, so round 1, then you reveal 1. So by round 5, or in the 5th one, the last one comes out. So by round 6, you would be able to, for sure, upgrade. And by that time, you might have a bunch of money, you might have a bunch of resources, you might, you're really going to be ready. And then maybe the stakes are really high on what you choose to upgrade. I don't know. It's something to test out. So, somebody is sending me, it's an acquaintance from church, is sending me some, I don't know what it is, but it's kind of interesting. Anyway, I'm also starting to see people posting about their day at the con. Oh, that's right, the nephews are going to be there. Okay, yeah, so I actually kind of like the idea of forcing these cards to come out. So it still gives the flavor of replayability. But it avoids the problem of, okay, if these guys just don't get things done and then the game, never really takes off. It avoids that possibility. And I think that would probably be really good. It also, it wouldn't hurt anybody to have this extra step in upkeep for the first 5 rounds of the game. I don't think that would hurt anybody's feelings. Also, it means that setup would look really nice and symmetrical, because I would just have the 4 cards there. I wouldn't need to. There would be no need. I wouldn't feel the need to have to reveal a building just to get things rolling, which I did. That's why the hardware store was available at the start of the game last time. It's because it is way better if all the cards come out, sooner. So let's just make it happen. Let's just force that. So I'm leaning that direction. I want to know if people would take advantage of the grant office if it was out there for longer. So I want to leave that in for now. I don't know what to do about community projects. That's a big question mark. Maybe that is expansion stuff. Anyway, it was cool too that at least with Reen, the mayor cards really clicked with her. Like she said, she emphasized this at the end during the debrief, but that they were like really funny to her. That normally you don't really like these, these like disruptive mechanisms in games where it's just like, what this I'm just a victim of randomness here. I wanted to work on this thing, but because the game said no, I can't. And it said no for no other reason than this card randomly came out at this time. Well, in the case of this cute little town and the mayor showing up and kind of getting in the way, she thought that thematic explanation was really effective, and it excused this type of experience. So I thought that was awesome. Like that's, I think that randomness will be annoying, but because it works thematically, I think it's cool. And the concept really popped for her. It was like, whoa, oh, that's a cool idea, and I think that's the kind of experience that people are looking for in a game. And it's cool to have identified something that sort of offers that. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, so I think the first change I want to make is, and I think I'm going to write this down here. Oh, that's Connor. Cool. So after, actually, I want to write some notes, and then I'll come back to Connor. So after the test with Kitty Loaf, and who was, and Bunny Loaf. Very cute. And Bunny Loaf. Yesterday. I want to try forcing the new building cards to come out one by one at the start of each round. At the beginning of the game. Several solves or avoids several problems and retains the benefits of this random introduction for replayability and replayability and expanding decisionscape and what was the last bit? Replayability, that's right. And then and a rolling teach. Because I think there's a lot of value to this piecemeal introduction of these cards. And I think I got all three of them there. One, replayability, the cards that come out randomly, then you get to interact with those buildings differently and at different times, and maybe it will shift your priorities a little bit. The expanding decision space. I think it's great that you only get to see, some small percentage of the town in the first round, and you only get to do so many things, and you don't have much money, you don't have many resources, so it's not important that you see those other cards because you can't really interact with them in a meaningful way anyway. You could, a couple of them you could, but you really don't need to see them at the start of the game. So you get to focus, you don't get overwhelmed by choice. But then as you get used to the flow of the game, or as you get into the game, you start seeing more buildings. Now you're more comfortable looking around for other options. You know what this building does. You're comfortable with the icons and stuff. Now let me see what this building does. So, and then you get the decision-scape, the strategic landscape is shifting as well, so that the choices become a little more complex, or the decision-making process is a little more complex. So the game expands, it just broadens out. And this happens in a lot of games where, like for instance, in these worker placement games, well, of course, Lords of Waterdeep, but then I just played How to Save a World, and new worker placement locations come out, and so now there's just a little more to consider. You're comfortable with what was available at the start of the game, you know how it works, and you're in the flow of it, and then now suddenly there's a new building that you have to pay attention to, and you have to decide when strategically it's important for you to go visit that place. So that's a cool thing when the game opens up and broadens, and it doesn't do it in a predictable way. Like in this case, it's unpredictable. And then what I also love is that you don't have to explain every building at the start of the game. So it's great that, I think it is very, very effective when it comes to teaching this game. You might want to know some implications of some of the cards, but I don't think the buildings need it. The mayor's favorite cards, the mayor cards, do want a little bit of explanation before you really get playing. But anyway, to reveal a building and then explain it is awesome, right? So you explain the 4 buildings that are available. You say, okay, if you want to come to this stack of cards, you're going to get a benefit, and then you roll a die, whatever. Like, it's a really quick detail. You can come here, but this building is going to come out and be available for the next round. And yeah, I like that a lot. So actually now the players could completely ignore this stack and still have the similar experience of, well, we don't have to, like, I'll just introduce these buildings one by one when we get to them. So I think that's great. So they come out with the speed necessary to get the game going, but they still preserve, but this system still preserves these benefits. So I think that's quite nice. Yeah, so that's going to be the first thing. I'll see about experimenting. The ending is still a problem. I'm not too sure where to go. One option is to eliminate the community projects card. Save it for expansion material. And allow the ending to, and allow the game to end after the third week, and compare money. That feels, I don't know, I don't love that as a feeling. Like, cool, we got through the whole thing. How much money do you have? How much money do I have? The other thing is that I think that makes, what is that? You know what? Where is that book? I think I have it here. I do. This is characteristics of games. I forget. I think it was a gift by Jacoby, and they really do just. This is just like, it's essentially like an academic take on games, and so it's very much in my wheelhouse, up my alley kind of stuff. I mean, it's just nice that there is something like this. So I'm looking for, yeah, ending conditions. No, maybe this is not exactly. I know that there's a way of talking about winners and losers that I always want to remember, and I very rarely do. I think it's in this section of, like, they talk about king making a little bit. Interaction through politics. Player elimination. That's what it was. It's not really about endings. Again, this is characteristics of games. Player elimination. They discuss player elimination quite a bit here. There's a nice section on it, and I think it is. Okay? Here are the three possibilities. One is you strictly eliminate players, which is you just literally knock people out of games. So that's Monopoly. That's Werewolf. That's, you vote somebody out, you kill somebody, you whatever. They're just out of the game. They lose all their money. They're out of the game. But then there's this other type of elimination, which I think was really well observed. That's to logically or effectively eliminate players. So I think that's the one that I think modern game design cares a lot about. And maybe all games forever have cared about that. I mean, except for the games that just are happy to eliminate people. But that that situation where, like, if, like, using Sugar Shack as an example, if we get to the last round and you're 40 money ahead of me, or you're 15 money ahead of me, or 20, whatever it is, and there is no way, I know there's no way to make up that difference, then I am effectively eliminated. That's what I was trying to go for. It's not that I have effectively won or lost, but I have been effectively eliminated. I have effectively been eliminated. So I don't love that. And that's what these other, like, win conditions help with. Is cool. You focused on money, but I've been busy over here with community projects, and if I get this done by the time the game ends, well, your money's no good to you, and or at least create some kind of a tension there, an interplay, having to care about different things. You're not just hounding money. You're out there working on this project. You're out there doing this thing in town, and I think that's important. But how do we manufacture that? So I've tried to manufacture that by having two other win cons, and I've tried to make them actual win cons, but that failed too. But anyway, what those were is, if you finish 3 community projects, you win. Well, what that did was, when somebody earns 2 community projects, there's no choice for the other player but to go and defend. Like, there's just literally nothing they can do. They have to keep the first player token, and they just have to go and block that spot every time. That's no fun at all. That destroys, like, every part of the game except for the need to do that. And that's not cool. So there was, you could win like that, or you could win by being the first player to get 4 of the mayor cards. So both were like kind of sudden death win conditions, and it just wasn't working because it just forces the other player to have to, to have to be in defensive mode. Okay, then we tried the idea of you needing to win 2 of those things. So if you earn 2 of those things, then you immediately win. Well, then it's just what if nobody earns 2 of those things? Then what is it? You just default to, or no, if nobody earns both of them, then you just default to comparing money anyway. And it is hard. It's hard to earn both because as I said at the top of the stream, if you're focusing on one, you can't focus on the other. So if you're focusing on one, it's likely that the other player has the resources to focus on the other. Okay, so then right on. So then nobody's earning 2 of those. So what's the other one? I've thought of having a threshold for money. So if you have over 30 money and you have a trophy, maybe you end the game immediately. Right? Maybe, but then I don't know. It still doesn't seem right. So it's something to test though. I think trying out this new beginning system where you're just revealing cards, that will make the if all possible strategic choices are available to the players earlier in the game, it might make how the game should end more apparent. Because I think all the pieces are here now, or we're close. So just like Reen said, even if I don't adjust the cards fundamentally, like I like the idea of a strong and a weak version of the action. That's a great idea. And maybe that's a better idea. But even as it is, the game is working. So I want to leave it there for now. And instead really solve this ending problem. Hopefully I don't have to create another system. Hopefully I don't have to just rebuild the whole thing in order to solve this ending problem, but it's possible that I would have to. But what's the most basic, what's the simplest, but also reasonably satisfying type of ending? If the game ends and you compare money, that might be fine. It doesn't seem that interesting, and also it allows for effective elimination earlier, like both players could see that coming. So I don't love that, but maybe that's fine for the first version of the game. In other words, just take out the community service projects and that idea of the trophy, but leave in the mayor cards, because those are still useful. Players still want those benefits, and they're really powerful. And most of them do end up helping you make progress with earning money. So maybe that's okay. What's also good is I can test some of these ideas without changing the components. Now there was a concern that the grant office is just too expensive. Of course, it feels expensive because by the late game, you really want to maximize earning money, and yeah. You know what? By getting rid of community services, it actually simplifies setup a little bit more, because, or it might even introduce a little more. Oh, what is that great word? It feels like serendipity, kind of feng shui, like it's kind of that concept. Verisimilitude, with the with the setup of the game, because there's still symmetry there. So what would be actually pretty nice is if I get rid of the community projects card in the next playtest. Then these cards are just gonna come flipping off of that stack, and then they'll just reveal the mayor cards. So once all the buildings are available, then the mayor cards just start flowing off. And I think actually that sounds really good. So maybe I will test just ending the game and comparing money. That's a little bit sad. And maybe that means giving a value to the mayor cards. Huh. I don't know. There's something here though, just a simplification that might just tighten the game up. I think I'm gonna try it today, where I'll have. Oh man, my parents are in France. My dad sending me pictures. So nice. And fall is kind of hitting over there, so I'm seeing some changes in the colors. Super nice out in the mountains. It looks like they're at a vineyard right now. Hopefully that's like the Alps. Oh no, maybe that's southern France. Anyway, very good for them. I'm stoked. Like, my dad's in his early 70s, my mom's 69 this year, and I'm just really, really grateful that they have the time and the energy to go travel and see these places that they, like my dad studied French in in high school, I think it was, maybe even college. Maybe it was college. But he grew up pretty low income. Both of my parents actually were not super poor, but they would have been like kind of on the lower end of socioeconomic status. And for them to have done well enough to be comfortable enough now to go and see these places that they would have, dreamt of when they were young. Like, oh, we can never travel like that. We can never get to a place like that. I'm just super excited for them. And I really appreciate how they set me and my sister up, to be able to go to decent schools, Christian schools, and to have a worldview that includes the importance of travel. So it's just really great to see that they're able to get out and go on these adventures with friends too. They're out there with two other married couples they've known for many years, and they're just having a great time. So I love that. Okay, I think I have what I need for today's playtest. I'm sacrificing the community projects, sacrificing the trophy. Ooh. Hmm. Hmm. I think. Hmm. I think I'll try that. I think I can drop the community projects for now. It doesn't feel perfect for me. In my mind, that's not ideal, but maybe that's fine. Um, huh. Hmm. There's a little bit of there are some swings that are possible. so maybe this is fine. Like if you get a barrel last second, you know, you're gonna get a decent payout. You might be able to make a swing, but I don't know. Maybe it's fine. I'm gonna try it today. Eliminate the community projects concept, and force the flipping the reveal of those buildings, and we'll see what experience that produces. So anyway, Reen and Ronald, thanks again for your support yesterday. Your feedback was awesome, and just your support in general, your positivity was really, really cool. Anyway, looking forward to trying to get some more playtesting done today. Oh, I did also sit with Val and Connor. That Connor had jumped into the server, and it was cool to see players at essentially at the expert level for Adra HQ. So they were really efficient. They communicated clearly with each other, and we tried at various difficulty levels, and we ended with no talking, and that was actually really fun. So I'm thinking to make, I almost think every game should be 3 rounds. The first one, you know, and you can probably set the difficulty level where, let's say you're playing an easy game, then you do 8 challenge cards, 5 minutes, and then 8 challenge cards, 4 minutes, and then 8 challenge cards, 4 minutes, no talking. Like, that might be the game. And I think that would be fine. I think that would actually be a fun challenge. And then you would add up, you know, you would probably score every round and then get ranked, you know, with your team would get ranked. But I feel like no talking is actually like, that should be fundamental. So I'm gonna finish this note here, and then I'm gonna head away. Actually, because the con starts in 10 minutes. It's like a less than 15-minute moped ride down there, but I want to make a few sandwiches, and I'll be a little late, but that's cool. So I'm gonna finish up this note. Okay, so I did have a couple notes. We tried at various difficulty levels, ending with no talking as a limitation. The no talking rule. So what I'm thinking is to set the difficulty level for a group by determining how many challenge cards to play with, then moving through this progression. X cards, 5 minutes. Round 1. X cards. X cards, 5 minutes. Then round 2. X cards, 4 minutes. Round 3. X cards, 4 minutes, no talking. I think Vel also had a good suggestion about, oh, you know what I need to remember to do? I need to remember to make those event cards about how to limit communication. Perhaps only refer to the cardinal direction you can help with, or point to where you can help, but you can't say with what resources. They were also talking through ideas that I think would be addressed by these new event cards I need to add. Okay, I think that's it for me. Happy to transition away down to TTO Con. Thanks for joining, and I will see you soon.